Good evening, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Now I do get letters about this particular subject and they're full of change, they're full of heartache, they're full of the realization that sometimes, very often, your blood family are not your, what I choose to call your cosmic family. And my definition of a cosmic family are those that you have travelled through time with, many aeons of time, and know as soon as you meet them. These are the people that despite time, despite location, despite all the usual logistics concerned with deep friendships, it defies all of those. Someone that you just met and have spent half an hour having a cup of coffee with, and he's your brother or your sister, and you know those people. Now sometimes you may not realize how important you are to them, and this can often be the case. Well, when you come out to another life, which certainly coming out to the Philippines is another life. Now, you got to say that this is not meant to be a mutual backslapping situation where we talk about how special we are. But you have to be a special kind of person to get to the age where most people are buying a rocking chair and wearing it out before they die. You have to be a special kind of person to up and leave in search of adventure when a lot of the time, if you walk for too long, your back is aching. Why do people do it? They know that probably there is something else that is drawing them to wherever they decide to go. And this also defies all of these people who are motivational speakers, and they say, unless you have a plan, unless you know exactly where you're going, how can you possibly get there? I remember a very good example where the speaker said, imagine a boat in the harbour, and the engines are started and it's set in motion, put it into first gear, and off it goes with no captain, no crew, all automatic. Where would it go? Who knows where it would go? I really don't know, because it has no guidance system. There's no captain saying starboard, or there's no captain, there's no plan, there's no chart, they're not following in it, there's nobody there. Now, in the particular case of looking for the guidance system that brings someone like me, and if you're watching this, maybe someone like you, at an age when people around you are saying, oh, don't lift that, you might hurt yourself. Or, have you still got a driver's license? They're not still letting you drive, are they? And you go away from that, and you take on all of the challenges of a young man. And does your back ache? Yeah. Are your knees a bit creaky? And how's the hip? I'm lucky I don't have those particular problems, but you're taking this on. Now, I can remember when I was 55 and I was working on a house that I was restoring, and I used to overdo it sometimes, and I'd load myself into the car and drive down to my friend who was a chiropractor, and by hook or by crook he'd manipulate me and adjust me, and I'd be able to walk back to the car instead of limping. He put me back together almost, if you like, because muscles had seized, and there was a little inflammation there, and he would handle that, and I would go back and abuse my body again the same the next day. He said Terence doesn't have enough muscle to do what he does. Now, many of us, when we start off things, don't have enough muscle to do what we do, but we still do it. I never realized that until I went out with a friend of mine, Martin, and he was a roadside mechanic, and prior to going out with him, I used to go out with him just to watch, just to learn about fixing a car and all of that. And I remember going out with him on this particular occasion, and the car that he had been brought out to fix would not start. I said, Martin, what will you do? I said, well, it's got to start. It's got to work. But you've already tried everything. You tried plugs, points. You tried all of those things. The gaps, the carburetor. Has it got gas? All of those things, you've tried them, and it didn't make the car start. What will you do? He said, I'll do it all again. And he did it all again, more than another once, until the car started. And I always remembered that phrase, well, it's got to work. Now, prior to that, if I would try to make the car start, and if it didn't start, I would make sure that I'd look at the points, that I set the points right, and the plugs, if I take the plugs out and clean them and put the right gap on them and all of that, and I'd try it all again. And if it didn't start, I'd call Martin. But when I went out with Martin, who would he call? He certainly couldn't call another a mechanic, could he? He was it. The buck was stopping with him. And you could say that when I fiddled about trying to do something, the buck started with me. So you've got to actually see that what you want to do in this new land is waiting for you, but you will be it. Now, do you think that your children are going to see the same thing? And I can tell you that chances are that they won't. They won't see that what you're doing is a great adventure. They'll see that you're leaving. They'll see that they're going to lose you. Now, here's the problem. Sometimes we don't want the person ourselves, but we don't want anybody else to have them. And you might find that. One story I read, the man wanted to leave and he left. Years later, when he hadn't seen his daughter for something like 12 years, he decided that, he got in touch with her and said, how about I come out and see you? She said, that's a terrific idea. I love that idea. And he booked his ticket for, I think, 10 days or 12 days, which he thought was a reasonable amount of time because they hadn't seen each other for so long. And then when he got there, and they said how long, or maybe it was just before, how long did you book your stay for? And he said 10 days. And there was a sharp intake of breath. Well, Well, Dad, we found that 5 days is probably the maximum. Okay, so he's thinking, haven't seen for 12 years, and here we are on 5 days. So he rebooked his ticket. This time he rebooked it, and the optimum time that he could leave was 4 days. And when 3 days came about, and he mentioned to his daughter, well, I'll be leaving tomorrow, she said, why so soon? Well, I guess she'd realised that while he was there, he wasn't such a bother, and she was shocked. So they actually ended up rebooking his rebooked ticket, and he stayed for another 10 or 11 days. But afterwards, when he thought that this wonderful thing had happened, and he went back to where he was living, he said he looked on Facebook for his daughter's family, and he couldn't find himself. Now that's not because he was spiritually lost, or he wasn't there. His image was not there. So this momentous thing had happened for him, and he was feeling wonderful. He was feeling like the lost and found grandfather, and all the photographs that had been taken of him, and there were many, never showed up on the family's Facebook, but lots of friends were there, and other people, siblings, were all there. Other family was there, but he wasn't. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that sometimes, if you're an expat and you're going to make this big break for freedom and adventure and fulfillment, don't expect that everybody will be happy for you, because they will see your departure in terms of their own loss, and they'll discourage you from going, and say, oh, and there'll be all kinds of logical things. Well, this person you're going to be with, she probably just wants you for your money. I mean, look at you. Dad, look at you. You're 60. Who could possibly be attracted to you? And that's what you might find is the thinking behind discouraging you from going. So there may be a parting of the ways which you were not prepared for. Logically, for any happy-minded, in control of their own life, happy with their own life person, will be happy for another. Now, I was particularly lucky for my son that I had brought up as a single parent, and I told him he had moved out, he had a place of his own, and he was settled. He had a good job, better than I'd had while I was in America, and I said, I really want to go and have another adventure, have a different adventure. And he said, I think that's great. So he let me go. That won't always be the case, and you must be prepared for that. And so if you're very close to the family that you have, and you have a relationship which is connected, then you have to think about this. But then, if I apply my kind of logic, if you have a relationship where people think of your happiness maybe even above their own, if you say, I'm going to go and have a different adventure, will you wish me well? And they'll say, that's wonderful, that's great, Dad, go for it. but don't expect it. And then you'll come and you'll find somebody who is prepared to devote that part of their life that you have left. And that's another, that will be another video. Don't be too surprised if those people that you thought loved you the most actually are not thinking of your happiness, they're thinking of their own. Now, you've got two things that you can do there. You can stay and keep them happy and find that they're still not going to stop by even when they're passing the door. I had that. Or you can go and believe that if someone truly loves you, they will want the best for you. And the best for you is what you are ready to take on, the challenge that you're ready to take on. And if you're sitting there saying, oh my God, are you kidding? I'm 64. So what? Get off your butt and do something. Why don't you take an axe to that rocking chair, metaphorically speaking? Why don't you find something that you can do? I've heard several true stories. Heard about the man, the British guy, and he decided he was going to go and he was going to retire to Spain. He didn't know what he was going to do, but he decided that he was going to go, and he went, and he was actually on the Mediterranean. And it turned out that he had a little aptitude for the small engines that power these little boats. And so he found one that was cheap, that needed repair, and he repaired it. And when the man who saw that he'd repaired this boat that he thought was irreparable, he said, how did you do that? And the man says, well, it's just something that I do. And so the man went out and bought another boat, and he brought it back to him and said, can you service this? And in no time at all, he had this business scooting about all over the place in these tiny boats in the Mediterranean with beautiful weather, and people that were really happy that he was there because he could do something that was needed. He never ever thought that he would be there doing that. And in a way, that's my story too. Who would have thought, when I was a musician and I was in a band that was touring all over the country, in the UK, if someone had said to me, on your 80th birthday, or, well, let's not presuppose anything's going to happen, okay? But certainly, when you were 79, you will be there helping other people who are not as fortunate as you, and living a wonderful life. What would I have said? Hold on a second, you're talking to someone who's struggling to pay his gas bill. Not to mention the electricity, or the mortgage, or my car payment. What's with the living in a lovely climate? You never know how the adventure is going to unfold, but you must allow that you are capable of having an adventure. And if you were to come out to wherever it is, go to Greece or Spain or somewhere where you might lie on a beach, or not, maybe you'll put deck chairs out on a beach, and maybe that will be something that you do. Who knows? As long as it's not arranging deck chairs on a boat that's like the Titanic, why worry? So the giving up thing is one that comes with age and with prefixed beliefs that that's how life is. Life is not according to prefixed beliefs. It's what you make it. And if you've got an aching back in Islington or Detroit or in Sydney or I don't know, in Berlin, and your back's aching there, why not take it out and go somewhere else and have an aching back there? But at least you're going to be doing something that you're going to be happy with. You're going to be having some kind of an adventure. Now, some people out there who don't think this way will be saying, "This is like a bloody kid. What's he talking about an adventure for? Who does he think he is?" And for them, they'll be right. I saw a great quote. It said, "For those who think that you're lying or just daydreaming or anything like that, who believe that what you're doing is fake, they think that because if they were in your position, that's what they would be doing. Faking it, lying, cheating, failing. So you don't have to do that. You can do what the hell you like. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm here, and maybe I do have to get someone to lift something really heavy. Well, so I'm ashamed of myself. You got me. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. We can all do much, much more than we think. Bye for now.